I wait about a day for the Aqua-Resin to set up, and this might be overly cautious, but better safe than sorry, right? At this stage it would be very disappointing if something went wrong. I start off by cleaning up the bottom edge the same way I cleaned up the edge in an earlier video. This bottom edge needs to be flush with the wooden base I'm going to mount the sculpture to, and at this moment I have a straight edge, the mold, to clean it up against, making the job a lot easier. Then some silly nice panning shots of the mold itself, ready to be opened. I was testing out my tripod video head, which seems to work fine. Then it's time to open the mold. I start off by taking off all the bungee cords, which is dangerous. They almost smacked me in the face several times here, so be careful. It's always really anxiety-provoking opening the mold. It's exciting, but you really just want the cast to look good and come out okay. But it never does, and there's always a lot of work that needs to be done to the cast. At least this seems to happen to me every time, so maybe I should get better at making molds. One side of the mother mold is in two parts to make it easier to open. I always like doing it this way with my mother molds. One side is the easy one to take off, and the other I make a bit harder, which I solve by splitting the piece in two. This has worked out well so far, and it makes it a bit easier to figure out where the seam in the mother mold needs to go. So it's very forgiving way to do it, which I like. It could also be considered lazy, of course, but... The bolts come out and the two pieces come off. Because this side of the mother mold splits in two, I start off with this one, as it comes off real easy and leaves the silicone on the cast, which protects it while I get the other side off. The other side comes off easy enough as well, as this was the side designed to be easy to get off. Both the silicone pieces stayed on the cast this time, which is really nice. This doesn't always happen, and it's no big deal, but I prefer it when the mother mold comes off and leaves the silicone to be peeled off carefully. This means the mother mold was designed nicely. It comes off easy off the silicone, and so it's a good thing. It's a plus. Even though the silicone is flexible, I still prefer to take my time and peel off the edges first. Sometimes there are fragile pieces that can break off, so being careful is always the way to go. In this case, it's a pretty solid piece. The cast is pretty solid. There's no fragile thin edges or anything like that. It's very solid, you know. It's a torso, so that makes it a bit easier. I always take a few minutes to look over the cast right when it comes out, and this time I was very happy with how it came out. The seam it's not perfect. There's a bit of a step around the leg and the thigh, but it was pretty good, and all things considered, not too much work needed to be done to this one, which is nice. Then some more panning shots of the fresh cast. And all I have to do now is to clean up and fix the seam, patch whatever air bubbles and holes I find, paint it, and mount it to the wooden base. Click the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.